Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the meeting is called to order. We shall continue Agenda 2 on general debate. I would like to urge all the speakers to adhere to the time limit of 5 minutes to ensure we can hear from all those participating. I also would like to remind delegation that in case of a longer statement, you may only deliver the summary version and provide the Secretariat with the full statement for sharing through the Commission website. Based on the request received, the Secretariat has prepared a tentative list of speakers. In order to maintain order and for delegations to be ready to take the floor, when I call on the speaker, I will also announce the two delegations next in line. Delegations called upon to speak will speak from the podium. I now open the floor for the country statements. I give the floor to Maldives. Country statement from Maldives. Excellency Mr. Muhammad Azhar, the floor is yours, please. Next, two to be prepared, a country from Bangladesh and Fiji. Thank you.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, my delegation extends its sincere appreciation to ESCAP for convening this session and for the comprehensive theme study on advancing a society for all ages in Asia and the Pacific. This year's theme is both timely and forward-looking. For small island developing states such as the Maldives, demographic change is not a distant prospect, but an emerging reality that we must address alongside challenges posed by climate change, economic constraints, and structural obstacles. Although the Maldives continues to have a relatively young population, gradual demographic shifts, including rising life expectancy, necessitate early and proactive preparation. In this regard, the Maldives launched both the National Aging Policy and the National Action Plan on Aging in year 2025, developed in collaboration with ESCAP and aligned with international frameworks, including the Madrid International Plan of Action on Aging. Our universal healthcare scheme, ASANDA, provides comprehensive healthcare coverage to all citizens. The government also delivers supplementary health financing mechanisms along with social welfare programs for both older persons, persons with disabilities, single parents, and foster families. We acknowledge that longer life expectancy does not always equate to healthier lives. As a national priority, we have committed to addressing non-communicable diseases through promoting healthy lifestyles, strengthening early detection and prevention, and enhancing health systems to support health and well-being. As increasing numbers of youth are entering the labor market, the government is in response investing in skills development and expanding technical and vocational education and training programs aligned with labor market needs. Recognizing the value of retaining experience and institutional knowledge, the Maldives has recently introduced measures to enable older persons to remain economically active. Our new re-employment framework now allows public sector employees to continue contributing beyond the age of 65. We are also taking steps to better support working families and promote women's participation in the labor force. Recent amendments to the Employment Act strengthen childcare support for working mothers. Under this reform, mothers return to work after maternity leave are entitled to 2 daily childcare breaks without salary deduction until their child reaches 2 years of age. Further measures have been introduced to support civil service employees who are parents of children with disabilities, including work-from-home options. Women's economic empowerment remains central to achieving inclusive and sustainable development. We acknowledge the burden of care responsibilities often placed on women across generations, including for children and the elderly. Therefore, the government is implementing targeted initiatives to support women entrepreneurs, expand access to finance, and enhance digital and business skills. Notably, the government launched the Fasha Madad loan scheme in 2024, a dedicated MBR 100 million startup loan scheme for women designed to empower women-led businesses, with 25% of the total scheme allocated for persons with disabilities. Climate change is a major challenge for Maldives, with key sectors such as tourism and fisheries affected and highly vulnerable to its impact. Accordingly, the government is pursuing ambitious investments in renewable energy, climate adaptation, and circular economy approaches. We welcome progress towards the operationalization of the Loss and Damage Fund and underscore its importance for SIDS in strengthening resilience against climate shocks, recognizing that older persons face disproportionate risks during climate-related disasters, and that age-responsive preparedness must be central to resilience frameworks alongside enhanced technology transfer. The Maldives recognizes the importance of reliable, age-disaggregated data in shaping effective policies and has made steady progress in strengthening national statistics systems and digital governance. We are also ensuring that our digital transformation under the Maldives 2.0 strategy, expanding digital public services, promoting digital education, and enabling new forms of work and entrepreneurship, is inclusive so that no one, including women, older persons, and those living in remote communities, is left behind. We also take this opportunity to acknowledge the critical role played by ESCAP in facilitating regional dialogue, sharing best practices, and supporting member states in addressing the challenges and opportunities arising from demographic change. We look forward to strengthening regional cooperation in areas such as capacity building and technical assistance to support the development of inclusive social protection systems and age-responsive policies. Together, through strengthened partnership and shared commitment, we can advance a more inclusive and resilient future for all. I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Azad, for your statement. I now call on Bangladesh, Mr. Fakir Mahood Anand, Minister of Science and Technology of Bangladesh. The floor is yours.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished guests, the delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. It's a distinct honor to address this August gathering on behalf of Bangladesh at the 82nd session of ESCAP. We appreciate the ESCAP Secretariat for convening this important session and for its continued leadership in advancing inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development in our region. Excellencies, the Asia-Pacific region stands at a critical juncture. Achieving a sustainable future requires addressing interconnected economic, social, and environmental challenges through integrated and forward-looking policy responses. Bangladesh, like many countries, is a navigative, complex global environment marked by economic uncertainty, evolving trade dynamics, climate vulnerabilities, demographic transitions. In response, our government is undertaking reforms to strengthen economic resilience and promote an inclusive and open economy. We do support and give priority to SMEs, improving the business environment, attracting foreign investment, fostering innovation-driven growth. Particularly emphasis is placed on expanding opportunities for youth and women through skills, development, entrepreneurship, addressing youth employment challenges, and participation in the digital economy. Bangladesh continues in advance inclusive social policies. Targeted initiatives such as family cards, farmer cards are supporting low-income households. Guided by Health for All, we remain committed to universal health coverage and strengthening our public health system. We are also reforming our education system to make it more skill-oriented and responsive to evolving national and global demands. As one of the most climate vulnerable countries, distinguished delegates, Bangladesh is already experiencing the impacts of climate changes. For us, this is an immediate reality. We remain committed in strengthening climate resilience, advancing renewable energy, particularly solar, and ensuring sustainable resources management in agriculture and fisheries to protect livelihoods and food security. At the same time, we recognize the transformative role of digital technologies. Bangladesh is leveraging digital transformation to expand access to education, healthcare, and public services. Strengthening data system, statistical capacity, and evidence-based policymaking remain essential to ensure effective and inclusive development outcomes. Distinguished guests and delegates, we are witnessing increasing global uncertainty, including geopolitical tensions and evolving trade dynamics, which pose significant challenges to developing economies. Such external pressure, combined with climate impacts, constrained fiscal space, and limited investment in long-term development, addressing these challenges requires a renewed commitment to a rules-based multilateral trading system and strengthened international cooperation. Respected colleagues, Bangladesh is committed to strengthening partnership in the Bay of Bengal and across the Asia Pacific, promoting connectivity, climate resilience, and shared prosperity. Our vision is people-centered, balancing economic growth, environmental sustainability, and social inclusion. We firmly believe that collective actions remains the most effective pathway forward. Let us work together to build a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable future for all. At the end, I want to extend heartfelt thanks and best wishes to all the delegates of ESCAP on behalf of our Honorable Prime Minister Tariq Rahman. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency Mr. Fakir Mahbub Anand, Minister of Science and Technology. I now call on Fiji, Excellency Ratu Etwini, Commissioner and Permanent Representative to ESCAP, please.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Bula Vinaka and a warm Pacific greetings from Fiji. At the outset, allow me, on behalf of the government of Fiji and my delegation, to thank the Secretariat for the invitation extended to attend the 82nd Commission session of ESCAP this week. Fiji welcomes the focus of this session on leaving no one behind, advancing a society for all ages. This theme reflects a fundamental truth: sustainable development cannot be achieved unless it is inclusive across all generations. These priorities align closely with our national vision of a resilient, inclusive, and prosperous Fiji, a pathway for empowering our people through unity, where all our citizens can thrive in a dynamic and resilient economy. Fiji, like many small island developing states, is experiencing rapid demographic shifts with a growing youth population alongside increasing longevity. These shifts intersect with climate vulnerability, migration, and economic transformation, requiring inclusive, gender-responsive, and life course approaches. This includes ensuring that the rights, protection, and development of children are integrated across policies, recognizing their critical role in shaping future human capital and societal resilience. For Fiji, sustainable development and climate resilience are inseparable. The growing intensity and frequency of extreme weather events continue to bring significant human and economic losses. Each cyclone season reminds us how quickly progress can be reversed and how much our limited fiscal space is redirected from long-term development into recovery and rebuilding. Chair, we take note of the focus on strengthening domestic and regional demand, boosting productivity, and supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. For Pacific economies like ours, these priorities are essential. Yet we continue to face structural constraints, our geographical isolation, small domestic markets, and high transport costs. Addressing these challenges require targeted and sustained investment in both physical and digital connectivity. At the same time, rising global oil prices and increasing shipping and insurance costs are placing additional strain on our region. These pressures are not just economic, they are systematic. They risk creating what can only be described as a connectivity crisis for the Pacific. When shipping and air transport become more expensive and less reliable, the effects are felt immediately in trade, tourism, and even access to essential goods and services. For island nations, connectivity is not optional. It is a lifeline. This is why coordinated regional solutions are urgently needed to ensure transport systems remain affordable, reliable, and resilient. Fiji also emphasizes the importance of investing in people. Human capital development is at the heart of inclusive growth. Fiji recognizes young people as central actors in shaping inclusive and resilient societies, particularly in responding to climate change, technology disruption, and economic transformation. Investment in education, skills development, and digital literacy are critical to enabling youth participation in emerging sectors and decent work opportunities. We also recognize the transformative potential of digital technologies. Fiji is strengthening pathways for youth entrepreneurship, innovation, and participation in digital economy, including through support for MSMEs and access to financial and digital tools. Excellencies, bridging the digital divide requires more than ambition. It requires real investment in infrastructure, capacity building, and regulatory system that ensure equitable and secure success for all. Chair, we also acknowledge the growing fiscal pressures and debt vulnerabilities facing many countries in our region. For small island developing states, limited fiscal space often constrains long-term planning. To advance the progress of the 2030 agenda, Fiji is focusing on innovative financing solutions through the Green and Blue Bond Initiative, parametric insurance, exploring the Pacific catastrophe risk assessment and financing initiative, strengthening public-private partnership, civil society collaboration, and seeking technical assistance from developing partners. Fiji is calling for stronger international support, including innovative financing solutions and reforms to the global financing system that better reflect our unique vulnerabilities. Fiji underscores the importance of strong institutions, adaptive policies, and inclusive governance. And above all, we reaffirm that regional and multilateral cooperation remains indispensable. In a fragmented global environment, rebuilding trust in multilateralism is essential, and that trust will be earned when cooperation delivers real tangible improvement in people's life. As a Pacific nation, Fiji values South-to-South and regional cooperation, including through the Pacific Islands Forum and the Pacific Community. We call for knowledge sharing on aging, care system, and gender equality, strengthen support for small island developing states facing compounded vulnerabilities, and increased investment in gender equality, care systems, and climate resilience. Excellencies, if we are to truly leave no one behind, our policies must be inclusive by design, responsive to vulnerability, and grounded in solidarity. For Fiji, this is not just an aspiration, it is a commitment. Because with stronger partnerships, better financing, and people-centered policies, we can transform today's challenges into opportunities for a more equitable and sustainable tomorrow. I thank you. Vinarase.
Thank you, Excellency Ratu Etwene, for your statement. Following, I will call on Republic of Korea, Mr. Ryu Ho Kwon. The floor is yours, followed by the Philippines and Marshall Islands.
Mr. Chair, Madam Deputy Executive Secretary, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, on behalf of the Republic of Korea, Let me begin by extending my sincere gratitude to the Chair and the Secretary for the preparation of this year's Commission and for the comprehensive report before us, which has laid a solid foundation for today's discussions. We meet at a time of serious uncertainty. The recent geopolitical turmoil, particularly in the Middle East, is affecting energy markets, maritime transport, and global supply chains. These developments are adding renewed inflationary pressures and amplifying downside risk to the regional growth, raising concerns over potential economic slowdown beyond earlier expectation. Asia and the Pacific region now stand at a critical juncture. This is precisely why regional cooperation is more important than ever. To build a sustainable future in our region, Republic of Korea proposed three key priorities. First, we must strengthen economic sustainability through openness, resilience, and rule-based cooperation in trading system. Free and open trade remains indispensable. At the same time, the benefit of trade must be shared more broadly. In this regard, Republic of Korea has supported capacity building on trade facilitation in ESCAP with around 2.5 million USD contributions. Second, we must accelerate inclusive digital transformation. Digital transformation, including AI, offers new opportunity to enhance productivity across the region. However, this benefit must be shared by all, and the digital divide must be effectively bridged. Republic of Korea is conducting 8 joint projects with ESCAP and support digital training at Asia and Pacific Training Center for ICT for development. Third, we must respond proactively to demographic change. Population aging is already reshaping our economies and societies across the region. Demographic change, which is the main theme of this commission, is not a distant or abstract issue. Given the diversity of national circumstances, tailored and forward-looking policies are essential. Republic of Korea has worked closely with ESCAP over the past 3 years through various initiatives, including the project on mainstreaming population aging into policy frameworks in Asia and the Pacific. Furthermore, at the last year's APEC summit, we adopted the framework for demographic change at the first of its kind. This effort will be followed by the policy forum to take place later this year, and it will be further discussed as a next agenda item. Distinguished delegates, at a time when inflationary pressure and the emerging and the risk of economic slowdown are increasing, regional cooperation is not a choice, but a necessity. Republic of Korea remains firmly committed to this principle. As one of the largest contributors to ESCAP since 2007, and with the increased contribution this year, we will continue to play a constructive role as a bridge in enhancing regional cooperation. Republic of Korea stands ready to collaborate with all members and the Secretariat to foster a more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable future for our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Rio Ho Kwon, for your statement. I now call on the Philippines, Her Excellency Millicent Cruz Paredes. The floor is yours.
Distinguished Chair, Excellencies, esteemed delegates, the UN Charter binds our countries in promoting peace and progress in larger freedom. It is this enduring commitment that drives our quest for sustainable development. The measures of the UN's credibility lies in whether this promise, made over 80 years ago, could be fulfilled today. Amidst current funding shortfalls and institutional pressures, the international community must support reforms that enable the UN development system to deliver genuine value to member states, in accordance with national priorities, with less bureaucracy and fragmentation. The Philippines reaffirms its unwavering commitment to multilateralism and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The Philippines recognizes ESCAP as a vital platform for amplifying partnerships, driving innovation, and supporting member states in building inclusive and sustainable societies. The Philippines continues to do its part. Guided by our whole-of-nation plus approach, we catalyze transformative change through evidence-based policymaking, inclusive economic strategies, and targeted social investments to ensure that those at risk of being left behind are identified and that we reach first those who are furthest behind. The Philippines is increasing investments in human capital. We are enhancing access to education, healthcare, nutrition, and early childhood care to break the cycle of intergenerational poverty. We crafted the Trabajo para sa Bayan Plan, a comprehensive national employment master plan to future-proof our labor market in recognition of the fast-changing world of work. We have enhanced our e-commerce regulations to safeguard consumer rights and foster economic resilience in the digital age. We have also enacted the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting Act to mainstream environmental valuation into national planning to reinforce our capacity for sustainable and data-driven policy making. The international community as a whole must actively reshape the global development agenda in the 21st century. At the Financing for Development Conference in Sevilla, we confronted the structural asymmetries that continue to undermine the ability of developing countries, particularly climate-vulnerable states, to mobilize the scale and quality of finance required for resilient development. Climate-vulnerable nations face borrowing costs that exceed their projected growth rates. Eligibility criteria for concessional finance remain tied to outdated income classifications, with no account for the risks and vulnerabilities that make such lifelines essential for sustainable development. The UN as a whole must ensure that climate change commitments are translated into concrete action for those who need it the most. Reforming the international financial architecture should be geared toward creating fiscal space for developing countries. It is important that debt sustainability assessments take into account climate risks. The international community must urgently confront the widening gap between climate ambition and the means of implementation, whether in terms of financial resources, technology transfer, or capacity building. Developed countries must fulfill their financial obligations. Multilateral development banks must do their part. Middle-income countries must not be overlooked. They represent more than half of UN membership, home to over 70% of the global population, and contribute a third of global GDP. The Philippines underscores that their realities and perspectives must be reflected in financing for development to macroeconomic policy and sustainable development frameworks. Advancing metrics beyond GDP is essential to take into account the multidimensional risk confronting middle-income countries. Technology is among the defining forces of our era. It is a connector, an enabler, and a potential equalizer. AI offers profound opportunities for sustainable development, but these gains will remain uneven unless we actively bridge digital divides. The international community must work together to ensure that this technology is inclusive, built with safeguards, and aligned with development priorities. Time and again, the Asia-Pacific region has demonstrated its capacity for resilience and transformation, whose voices, experiences, and development pathways can meaningfully shape the global agenda. The Philippines stands ready to work alongside fellow member states and the broader international community to advance a future that is just, equitable, and sustainable for our region and the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Cruz Paredes. I now call on His Excellency Mr. Remco van Winsgaarden from Netherlands.
Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to join you today for the 82nd Commission session of the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, and to take part in this session at such a critical time in global developments. Home to over 60% of the world's population, with some of the world's fastest growing economies, the Asia Pacific is a key region in the world. Actions taken here will shape our future global sustainability, our global security, and our global prosperity. The Netherlands is closely connected to the Asia Pacific through strong trade relations, through large-scale investments in the region, and through a broad and intensive knowledge exchange. We believe that this year's theme of advancing a society for all ages in Asia and the Pacific couldn't be more fitting. More than 500 million people in this region are now aged 65 and above. At the same time, youth unemployment and widening digital divides remind us that inclusion is a priority. And like many countries here in the region, the Netherlands also faces an aging population, a fast evolving digital economy, and a need to make growth greener and more equitable. All this against the backdrop of climate issues and geopolitical instability. We understand that economic growth alone is not enough. It must include all, regardless of age, gender, or other criteria. For instance, the Netherlands takes specific measures to tackle barriers for full economic participation by women through programs to promote women in leadership roles, protection of women's rights, and a national strategy for women's health. We have reformed our pension system to make it future-proof, ensuring that all have the certainty of a reliable pension now and in the future. And to stimulate participation of people with disabilities, the Netherlands is committed to the implementation of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. We very much welcome the recommendations made in the theme study for the 82nd Commission session, stressing the need for inclusivity, labor reforms, and the protection of labor rights. The Netherlands is committed to leaving no one behind, amongst others by collaborating on issues like climate adaptation and water management to address the challenges faced by governments and communities in many countries in the Asia Pacific. As an example, in Thailand, in partnership with the Office of National Water Resources, the Netherlands and Thailand are advancing integrated water management by promoting knowledge sharing between our governments and knowledge institutes and strengthening local capacities. This collaboration addresses the urgent water challenges, including floods and droughts, with measures to tackle unintended negative consequences for communities, particularly downstream. Allow me also to highlight the Netherlands' commitment to responsible use of artificial intelligence that protects privacy and benefits society. Within the EU AI Act and through our partnerships in this region, we advocate for ethical and inclusive use of AI. It is only through close regional and international cooperation and by investing in the rules-based international order that we can advance our societies and reach the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. As the Netherlands, we look forward to continued collaboration and cooperation with the Asia Pacific on the bilateral level, on the EU level, and of course within UN ESCAP for many years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Excellency Ambassador Remco van Winsgarden. Following, I will call on Marshall Islands, His Excellency Junior Aini. The floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Chair of the 82nd Commission session, Madam Executive Secretary, Excellencies and distinguished guests, Yagway and warm Pacific greetings from the Republic of the Marshall Islands. On behalf of the government of the Marshall Islands, we congratulate you, Chair, for leading this 82nd session, and I look forward to working with this august body in solidarity towards a sustainable and resilient Asia-Pacific region. For our atoll nation, leaving no one behind is not a slogan. It is a daily reality. It means ensuring that every generation, from our elders to our youth, can live with dignity on the land and ocean that they define who we are. It means protecting our people from the rising seas that threaten our homes and our heritage. This is absolutely critical as Marshall Islands aims to navigate global instability and an economic crisis, which has placed our nation into a state of economic emergency. We speak today from the front line of climate change, where the ocean that sustains us also endangers us. Yet we stand firm. We are not victims of geography. We are stewards of resilience. We bring to this commission the voice of a people determined to survive, adapt, and thrive. To advance a society for all ages, we must act on three fronts. First, we must invest in people. Education, health, and digital access are the foundation of inclusion. Every island must be connected. Every child must have an opportunity. Every elder must be cared for with respect. We are expanding community-based elder care and youth programs that link traditional knowledge with modern skills because our future depends on both wisdom and innovation. Second, we must build resilience. For the Marshall Islands, sustainability begins with energy independence and climate-proof infrastructure. We call for investment in the Pacific Resilient Facility, a Pacific Island Forum-led initiative that provides community-level grants to strengthen climate and disaster resilience across the region. We also urge strong regional cooperation on debt, sustainability, and equitable access to climate finance so that Pacific realities are reflected in global mechanisms. Third, we must strengthen solidarity. No nation can stand alone against global tides. The Pacific Islands are united by the Blue Pacific continent, our strategy, our strategic identity, and a vision of shared stewardship and collective strength under the 2050 strategy. We call on ESCAP to deepen partnerships that deliver technology transfer, fair trade, and inclusive growth. Multilateralism must work for those most at risk. Honorable Chair, Excellencies, the Marshall Islands also underscore the importance of the Antigua and Barbuda Asian diverse seats, known as the ABIS. This new global framework must be fully integrated across the UN system, not treated as a separate track, but woven into every program, every partnership, and every financing mechanism. ABIS gives coherence to our priorities and ensures that SIDS are not left behind in the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. The Marshall Islands believes that sustainability is not measured in GDP, but in human dignity. It's about ensuring that our children inherit not fear, but hope. It is about ensuring that our leaders see continuity, not loss. We urge ESCAP to keep the Pacific at the heart of its work, to build a future where no islands, no generation, and no person is left behind. I thank you, Chair, and look forward to working closely with all members for this 82nd session of this commission to advance our work ahead of the Asia Pacific region. Komoltada, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Junior Aini. I now call on Indonesia, Bapak Hari Prabowo. The floor is yours, following by Turkey.
Excellencies, let me begin by joining others in thanking Azerbaijan, the host country Thailand, and other members of the Bureau for their leadership, including in spearheading the Baku-Bangkok Declaration. The declaration and this year's theme of the Commission reminds us of a simple but powerful truth: development must serve everyone. The UN Charter is very clear on this. We must strive for the dignity and worth of every human person, including through economic and social advancement of all. This is indeed the raison d'etre for ESCAP. It is therefore our collective responsibility, all ESCAP members, to safeguard sustainable development by 2030 and beyond. Distinguished delegates, our region has been quite fortunate, serving as the world's bright spot despite profound challenges. Yet, we cannot afford to be complacent. We are navigating a turbulent world marked by rising geopolitical tensions, economic frictions, and unprecedented pressures on the multilateral system. Recent situations, including in the Strait of Hormuz, have threatened global supply chains, energy and food security, which our region depends on. Against this backdrop, we must make sure that our future remains in our hands. In this context, allow me to underline a few points. First, the Asia-Pacific region must lead by example. Let us not get distracted by rivalries. Instead, let's remain guided by partnership for mutual progress. In an increasingly divided world, our region must demonstrate that cooperation is not only possible, but essential. We must enable ESCAP as a platform to rebuild trust through meaningful and impactful collaboration that bring concrete results for all, especially those most vulnerable. Second, the key to our region's resilience is our ability to be forward-looking. Our region has been at the forefront on accelerating SDG through innovative means, including innovative financing. We have been proactive in embracing new sources of growth, including digital transformation, green and blue economy, and financial inclusion. As the world's most diverse region in terms of development experience, we have a lot to offer in shaping global development agenda, again by 2030 and beyond. Third, at a time when the world is distracted, the ESCAP region must be able to serve not only as the world's engine, but also the world's compass. This is where ESCAP Commission has a strategic value, to inject strategic directions based on our regional perspective in attaining the 2030 agenda and advancing global development agenda beyond 2030. Thus, our region does not merely adapt to the crisis of multilateralism, but instead enhance its relevance. Distinguished delegates, our future cannot be written in isolation. It should be written in solidarity and cooperation across borders, across ages, across generations. This is the essence of leaving no one behind. Let us be action-oriented and forward-looking in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hari Prabowo. I now call on Turkey, Ms. Julie Kayhan, Ambassador, Extraordinary Plenipotentiary and Permanent Representative to ESCAP. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates. At the outset, I would like to extend our sincere congratulations to Azerbaijan as the chair. We are confident that this session of the Commission will yield to tangible results. At a time of systematic fractures, Turkey remains firmly committed to multilateralism. We believe that sustainable development must be inclusive, and we all need to join forces to leave no one behind. As for the Sustainable Development Goals, there is need for scaled-up investment, renewed commitment, and concrete implementation. Excellencies, peace and development are mutually reinforcing. The number of armed conflicts has reached historic levels. Fragile and uneven development fuels instability. Conflict, in turn, destroys development gains. For instance, the war in Gaza has reversed decades of development and severely damaged basic infrastructure and livelihoods. Last year, for the first time in history, 2 famines in Gaza and Sudan were declared simultaneously. Unfortunately, SDG 1 and SDG 2 are increasingly at risk. Combating hunger and poverty is a priority for Turkey. To that effect, we recently announced additional contributions to the UN World Food Programme and upgraded our strategic partnership with the program with a view to positioning Turkey as a regional logistic and stock hub. Excellencies, social development is at the core of our national priorities. Our current 5-year National Development Plan, inter alia, focuses on high value-added production and fair income distribution. Turkey's economy demonstrates strong resilience and dynamism, underscoring its capacity to navigate global uncertainties. A strong family is one of the main pillars of social development. We are also working on new initiatives to improve women's work-life balance by promoting flexible and remote working models. Turkey stands ready to share its practices in that regard. Concerning the pivotal impact of accessing to new and emerging technologies, Excellencies, we are the host and biggest donor of the UN Technology Bank for least developed countries, which acts as a focal point for LDCs to strengthen their science, technology, innovation capacity. We encourage all development partners to increase their engagement with the bank. Turkey has been leading global initiatives as the Zero Waste movement under the leadership of our First Lady, Her Excellency Emine Erdoğan, which has gained international recognition through the UN General Assembly resolution on zero waste. Turkey has also been entrusted with the presidency of COP31 at a challenging time for global climate action. We are looking forward to welcoming you all in Antalya this November. During our presidency, the concerns and priorities of the vulnerable regions will remain central to our agenda. As you may be aware, we have also agreed on a unique model of cooperation with Australia for this COP. The pre-COP meeting will be convened in Fiji in October, with a high-level component in Tuvalu. This, as such, will also provide a valuable opportunity for parties to witness certain climate-related vulnerabilities on the ground. We encourage strengthened regional cooperation under ESCAP, aligning development and climate priorities for sustainable development of the region. Excellencies, security concerns around the Strait of Hormuz and attacks targeting vital energy infrastructure have far-reaching global repercussions. Diversification of energy sources and routes, as well as transition to clean energy, have been the main pillars of Turkey's energy policy. We continue to diversify also to make maximum use of domestic resources, including natural gas and renewables. Concerning energy-related matters, we are open to new proposals for cooperation with our partners in Asia and the Pacific. On connectivity, let me underline that Turkey's unique position offers a realistic, safe, and reliable alternative. As His Excellency Bayramov also alluded to in the morning session, the Middle Corridor is rapidly emerging as the most viable route for expanding trade between Europe and Asia. It is more than a transport pathway. It is a platform for energy, logistics, and digital connectivity. Effective utilization of this corridor will offer significant economic opportunities to countries along the route. Land transport, particularly road and rail, are increasingly central to international connectivity. As supply chains evolve, there is growing need for stronger harmonization and common standards across regions. We will come back to this issue and other topics that I briefly address under the relevant agenda items. Let me conclude by reaffirming our readiness to work closely with ESCAP and all partners towards a more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable future. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Ambassador Juliet Kayhan. Thank you very much. I now invite from Tajikistan, His Excellency Mr. Adarsha Kodini, Ambassador and Permanent Representative to ESCAP, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, sustainable future development remains a central priority for Tajikistan. As a landlocked and mountainous developing country, Tajikistan faces unique structural challenges, including vulnerability to climate change, limited connectivity, and exposure to natural disasters. At the same time, these challenges present opportunities for innovation, resilience building, and strengthened regional cooperation. Tajikistan believes that achieving a sustainable future requires a balanced and integrated approach across the economic, social, and environmental dimensions of development. In this regard, we highlight several keys, priorities, and solutions. First, climate action and environmental sustainability are of paramount importance. Tajikistan is highly vulnerable to the adverse impact of climate change, particularly the rapid melting of glaciers, which are a critical source of fresh water in Central Asia. Recognizing this, Tajikistan has been a strong advocate for water and climate issues at the global level. Our initiatives, including the International Decade for Action, Water for Sustainable Development 2018-2028, underscore the importance of sustainable water management as a cornerstone of resilience and development. We call for enhanced international cooperation, financing, and technology transfer to support climate adaptation and mitigation efforts, especially for vulnerable countries. Second, the transition to green and renewable energy represents a major opportunity for sustainable growth. We are committed to further expanding renewable energy capacity and improving energy efficiency, while also promoting regional energy connectivity. Investments in green infrastructure and sustainable energy systems are essential to achieving low-carbon development pathways. Third, strengthening regional connectivity and sustainable transport systems is critical for landlocked developing countries. Tajikistan supports initiatives aimed at enhancing transport corridors, trade facilitation, and logistic network across the Asia-Pacific region. Improved connectivity will not only reduce trade costs, but also promote inclusive economic growth and regional integration. We emphasize the importance of resilient and sustainable infrastructure that can withstand climate impacts. Fourth, digital transformation and innovation offer new opportunities for sustainable development. Tajikistan is taking steps to enhance digital infrastructure, promote e-governance, and build human capacity in information and communication technologies. Bridging the digital divide is essential to ensure that all segments of society can benefit from technological progress. Fifth, human capital development and social inclusion remain at the heart of our national policies. Investments in education, healthcare, and gender equality are critical to building a resilient and inclusive society. Tajikistan is committed to ensuring that no one is left behind, particularly vulnerable groups, including women, youth, and rural population. At the national level, Tajikistan has aligned its development strategies with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Our national development strategy prioritizes economic diversification, environmental protection, and social well-being. However, achieving these goals requires strengthened international partnership, including increased access to finance, capacity building, and the sharing of best practices. In conclusion, Tajikistan reaffirms its commitment to advancing a sustainable future through collective action, solidarity, and innovation. We stand ready to work closely with all partners to implement practical solutions that address shared challenges and unlock new opportunities for sustainable development in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ambassador Ardashir Kodiri from Tajikistan. Now we call on Excellency Mr. Nasiruddin Haidari from Iran to deliver your country statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Madam Executive Secretary, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. It's a great honor to address the 82nd session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, known as ESCAP. ESCAP has long served as a vital platform for dialogue, knowledge sharing, and coordinated regional action. Today, as we gather, we do so at the pivotal moment, one in which our collective choice will profoundly shape the future of our region. The Asia-Pacific region stands at the crossroads of extraordinary opportunity and significant complexity. Rapid technological change, shifting demographic patterns, the accelerating impacts of climate change, and the persistent vulnerabilities exposed by recent global disruption all remind us that sustainable development is not merely a policy preference. It is an imperative for stability, resilience, and long-term prosperity. This year's theme, Leaving No One Behind, Advancing a Society for All Ages in Asia and Pacific, could not be more appropriate. It speaks of the essence of sustainable development, ensuring the progress is broad-based, inclusive, and accessible to every member of society. Advancing society for all means placing people at the center of development. It means recognizing that economic growth cannot be sustained if large segments of the population remain marginalized, unserved, or vulnerable. It means ensuring that innovation, digital transformation, and ecological transition benefit every community, not just selective few. Ladies and gentlemen, in this context, the Islamic Republic of Iran recalls the tragic events of February 28, 2026, which lasted for more than 6 weeks, when the people of Iran were targeted by an illegal and brutal aggression by the joint forces of the United States and the Israeli regime. This unprovoked and premeditated war occurred at the time when Iran was engaged in substantive negotiations, offering significant concessions in good faith and charting confidence-building measures to prevent regional and global crises. Regrettably, these diplomatic efforts were met with betrayal and aggression for the second time in a span of 1 year. The United States and Israeli launched attacks on Iranian officials, in particular, crowdly terrorist assassination of our supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, in flagrant violations of the fundamental principles, rules, and norms of international law, including those related to heads of states, also targeted civilians, later vital non-military infrastructure like hospitals and health centers, roads, railroads and bridges, custom areas, historical places that were among the UNESCO World Heritage Site were targeted and fully or partially decimated. These acts constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity, and they represent a grave violation of international law and international humanitarian law. While responsible members of the international community have rightly condemned these actions, condemnation alone is not enough. We must take collective and decisive measures to prevent such atrocities from occurring anywhere in the world. Otherwise, the very fabric of international order the one that allowed us to gather in the United Nations, will unravel. In the face of the aggression crimes and blatant acts of aggression of the US and Israeli regime against our people and sovereignty, our armed forces decisively in exercise of the right to self-defense as stipulated in Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, in compliance with international law and including international humanitarian law, defended our country. Our nation will not hesitate in their resolve to defend their homeland against Israeli regime and the United States. This tragedy has taught us a painful but essential lesson. Without a just and lasting peace rooted in multilateralism, regional and global cooperation, and respect for international law, the goal of creating an inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development remain unfulfilled. We must conduct a comprehensive and thorough assessment of the direct and indirect losses, damages, and long-term consequences of such acts of aggression on the lives and future of affected communities. Distinguished member states, to realize the vision of an inclusive society that works for the advancement of all, we must strengthen our commitment to three key dimensions of sustainable development. First, economic resilience. Our region must build diversified, competitive, science-based, and interlinked economies that can withstand global shocks. These include investment in digital infrastructure, support for small and medium-sized enterprises, and the promotion of green and circular economic models that create high-quality employment while reducing environmental costs. Second, social inclusiveness. Advancing society for all requires robust social protection system, equitable access to essential services, and policies that improve women, youth, persons with disabilities, and vulnerable communities. True inclusiveness is achieved when every individual has means and opportunities to participate meaningfully in the economy and in the public life. Third, environmental sustainability. We share a region actually affected by climate-related risk from sea level. Distinguished Chairman, I will summarize. I will take the very last sentence, and as I have passed the Mr. Chairman, these are not just environmental priorities, they are economic and humanitarian imperative. In this context, the Islamic Republic of Iran is of the view that the work of ESCAP is indispensable. The Commission provides our region with analytical depth, technical expertise, and a platform for regional cooperation that few institutions can match. Furthermore, our region possesses extraordinary human capital, innovative potential, and cultural diversity. By working together through dialogue, partnership, and shared responsibility, we can ensure that the benefits of progress reach people from all ages and in all concerns of our region. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador Nassereddin Haidari. Thank you very much. I now call on country statement from Australia, Excellency Mr. Andrew Egan, Minister and Deputy Head of Mission and Permanent Representative of Australia to ESCAP. Please.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Australia remains deeply committed to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and to the core principle at its heart, to leave no one behind. Last November, Australia joined UN member states in endorsing the Doha Political Declaration, which reinforced global recognition that social development is integral to sustainable development. Our collective responsibility now is to translate these commitments into meaningful outcomes, advancing equality and inclusion across the life course while navigating a contested global environment, shrinking civic space, multilateral institutions under intense stress, and unprecedented energy supply shocks, which disproportionately affect the most vulnerable. For Australia, this means integrating social development across our foreign and development policies to support full and productive employment, social inclusion, and human rights and well-being for all generations. So first, Australia's international gender equality strategy ensures gender equality and women's economic empowerment is embedded across our diplomacy, trade, development, and humanitarian efforts. We know that gender equality is critical to decent work, economic participation, and income security, particularly for women across different stages of life. Gender equality also reduces poverty and conflict, strengthens social cohesion, and unlocks economic productivity for current and future generations. Over 80% of Australia's development investments now effectively address gender equality. We must continue to protect the global progress we have made on gender equality. Rolling back progress would undermine not only women's rights, but the foundations of inclusive and sustainable growth. Second, Australia is working with regional partners to build robust and inclusive social protection systems that respond to demographic realities and support people throughout their lives. Social protection reduces poverty, enables labour market participation across age groups, supporting caregivers and promoting social inclusion for older persons and people with disability. This is why strengthening social protection is a core pillar of Australia's international development policy. Australia is collaborating with Pacific partners to design systems that help people manage life's transitions and shocks, whether entering the workforce, balancing paid work and care, experiencing illness or disability, or ageing with dignity. These systems will only grow in importance as climate change and economic uncertainty intensify existing vulnerabilities, including supply chain disruptions to energy, particularly in small island developing states. Third, Australia is integrating disability inclusion across all international engagement through our International Disability Equity and Rights Strategy. This reflects our commitment to equal participation for people with disability across all ages. We are deepening partnerships with organisations led by and for people with disability, recognising them as essential agents of change. In 2025, Australia launched Stronger Movements, Stronger Futures, a flagship investment to strengthen the capacity of organisations of people with disability across the Indo-Pacific, ensuring their voices shape policies that affect their lives. As our societies age and care needs evolve, Australia recognises the growing importance of supporting care workers, both paid and unpaid, and building sustainable care systems that enable healthy and active ageing. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, at a time of instability and uncertainty, Australia is a steadfast and reliable partner. We will continue to work with partners across Asia and the Pacific, indeed globally, to strengthen multilateralism and to pursue important reforms across the UN system to ensure it is fit for purpose. This includes strengthening the UN's role in peace and security, safeguarding the UN's role in promoting and protecting human rights, and enhancing the UN's role in fostering sustainable economic and social development. By working across all three of these pillars of the UN system, we can collectively build inclusive, resilient, and integrated societies that leave no one behind at any age. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Excellency Minister Andrew Egan. Thank you very much for your country statement. I now call on Ms. Bethany Milburn from UK, UN Development Systems, Multilateral Policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thank the UN for bringing us together for this important discussion. The Asia and Pacific region is fundamental to our world's future. Across the region, we already see innovation tackling global challenges. For example, tech startups transforming healthcare through AI diagnostics and industries developing climate adaptation solutions. At the same time, today's challenges are increasingly complex. Conflict, persistent poverty, the climate and nature crisis, rollback on rights and gender equality, and a difficult global economic outlook. This requires us all to work together. In this regard, we welcome the theme of leaving no one behind, advancing a society for all ages. The UK is deepening its partnership with the region, sharing expertise, mobilizing investment, and ensuring that growth is sustainable and inclusive for all. Our dialogue partnership with ASEAN continues to go from strength to strength and includes working through ESCAP to strengthen ASEAN's investment promotion agencies. And we continue to work closely with our Pacific partners who are on the front line of climate change. Looking ahead, as the UK assumes the G20 presidency in 2027, we will work closely with partners, including those across the Indo-Pacific, to address the major challenges facing the world and support shared prosperity. The multilateral system must continue to adapt. In a region as dynamic and diverse as Asia and the Pacific, effective multilateralism is not optional, it is essential. As a committed multilateralist, the UK remains steadfastly behind the United Nations. The UN plays a critical role in preventing and resolving conflicts, delivering life-saving humanitarian assistance, and supporting countries to build stronger economies and societies. It is important that we continue to stand behind all three pillars of the UN: peace and security, humanitarian and development, and human rights. These pillars are complementary, and we should not pick and choose amongst them. The UK strongly supports the Secretary-General's UN80 reform initiative. It represents a critical opportunity for bold reform to refocus the UN on its core priorities and on tangible impact on the ground. For the UN development system, this means empowering resident coordinators with greater authority over UN country teams, reducing duplication and competition between agencies, and improving delivery at country level. The UK wants the resident coordinator firmly established as the single point of entry for host governments to the UN development system, driving more politically informed UN action and convening partners around country-led cooperation frameworks. This must be matched by stronger regional capabilities, ensuring the UN's regional offer complements streamlined country teams and can provide surge expertise when required. We look forward to ambitious proposals emerging from the regional reset and the UN80 expertise on demand work. Ultimately, these reforms matter most where the UN must deliver at scale and at speed. In the Asia and Pacific region, home to rapid growth, deep inequalities, and growing climate vulnerability, a more focused, empowered, and regionally capable UN will be essential to sustaining development gains and supporting nationally led solutions. That is the UN the UK wants to help build in Asia and the Pacific and beyond. And finally, we look forward to celebrating 80 years of ESCAP next year and contributing to an open discussion on how we collectively navigate paradigms and accelerate Agenda 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Bethany Melbourne from UN Development Systems and Multilateral Policy of UK. I now call on India, Mr. Amit Verma, please, the Joint Secretary for ESCAP Division.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, and distinguished delegates. At the outset, on behalf of my delegation, I congratulate you and the Vice Chairs on your election to steer the 82nd session of the Commission. Mr. Chair, the theme of this session resonates deeply with India's development philosophy. As a nation home to 1.4 billion people, India recognizes that sustainability is not merely an aspiration, but an existential imperative. The Asia-Pacific region, with its demographic dividend and technological dynamism, is uniquely positioned to lead the world towards an equitable and sustainable future for all. Mr. Chair, Even as global trade faces headwinds from fragmentation and protectionism, India has always chosen to support deeper, rule-based multilateral trade. India has also pursued bilateral trade agreements which directly benefit farmers, artisans, MSMEs, and women entrepreneurs, the communities that need economic opportunities the most to enable their sustainable growth. Mr. Chair, India's digital leadership was on global display at the India AI Impact Summit 2026, the first global AI summit hosted in Global South. With 92 nations endorsing the AI Impact Summit Declaration, inspired by the principle of welfare for all, happiness of all, India champions equitable, democratic, and trustworthy AI that focuses on economic growth and efficiency. With our digital public infrastructure's unified payment interface, processing 21.7 billion transactions in January 26 alone, with BharatNet connecting remote villages with internet connectivity and direct benefit transfers to the beneficiaries, they demonstrates that technology deployed with intent can transform lives at scale. Excellencies, leaving no behind is a measurable national commitment. Through a food security program for the impoverished, 810 million people receive free food grains. India's flagship national public health insurance scheme, named Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, or Prime Minister's People's Health Scheme, provides affordable healthcare services for 550 million citizens. The Jal Jeevan Mission, focused on drinking water, has connected 154 million rural households with piped tap water. Providing 577 million zero-balance saving accounts has allowed unbanked individuals to access banking services through powering financial inclusion at scale. These efforts helped 248 million Indians escape multidimensional poverty between 2013-14 and 2022-23. India stands ready to share its journey of advancing its rank in the global SDG index, even as only 17% of SDG targets remain on track globally, with hunger, biodiversity, and inequality indicators regressing. Mr. Chair, India's commitment to sustainability is deep and demonstrated. We achieved our NDC target of 50% non-fossil fuel installed electricity capacity in June 2025, 5 years ahead of the schedule, and now rank third globally in renewable energy installed capacity. The National Green Hydrogen Mission targets 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen production annually by 2030. Our extended producer responsibility frameworks are advancing the circular economy across key sectors. Through the International Solar Alliance, Life Movement, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and the Global Biofuels Alliance, India is working to make clean technology accessible to all developing countries. Mr. Chair, while our strides in climate mitigation are noteworthy, India recognizes the need for faster action for global climate adaptation financing. With less than 10% of the global climate finance flowing to adaptation, developing nations on the climate frontline urgently need scaled-up support. India calls on developed countries and multilateral institutions to substantially enhance adaptation finance delivery consistent with the principle of equity. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, India reaffirms its commitment to the 2030 Agenda and to ESCAP as a premier platform for multilateral cooperation. Guided by Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas, which means together with all, development for all, trust of all, and effort of all, and our civilization ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the world is one family, India will continue to work in solidarity with members of this Commission towards a sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous future for all. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amit Verma, Joint Secretary of ESCAP Division. I now call on country statement from France, Ms. Mathilde Terouilla, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs de délégation, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, Je souhaite à mon tour remercier la CESAP pour l'organisation de notre conférence. La France maintient un engagement ambitieux en matière de développement durable qui se traduit par une mobilisation sur plusieurs sujets à l'échelle internationale qui trouve matière à se décliner localement, notamment dans la région Asie-Pacifique. Tout d'abord, en matière de santé. Un sujet qui fait largement écho au thème de cette année. La France a accueilli plus tôt ce mois-ci le One Health Summit à Lyon, qui a permis de rappeler le besoin de la coopération internationale et interdisciplinaire pour faire face aux crises sanitaires, notamment par le biais d'une approche mettant en lien la santé, le monde animal et l'environnement. Ce sommet a également été l'occasion d'évoquer la nécessaire réforme de l'architecture de santé mondiale afin de la rendre plus efficace et à même de prévenir et de répondre aux crises dans un contexte budgétaire de plus en plus contraint. À l'échelle de l'Asie-Pacifique, la France soutient plus de 300 structures locales dans la fourniture de services de santé par le biais de l'Agence française de développement et d'Expertise France. Sur la question des océans également, la France a accueilli l'année dernière à Nice, conjointement avec le Costa Rica, la 3e conférence des Nations Unies sur les océans, qui a contribué à l'entrée en vigueur quelques mois plus tard du traité sur la haute mer, plus connu sous le nom de BBNJ, offrant un cadre juridique de protection au plus important puits de carbone de notre planète et en reconnaissant son rôle essentiel en matière de climat et de biodiversité. Nous continuons de soutenir l'activité de la CESAP en fournissant de l'expertise technique sur ce sujet et je salue l'excellente collaboration que nous avons avec la division de l'environnement. Mais notre collaboration va plus loin. Reconnaissant le rôle prépondérant de la CESAP dans la promotion des objectifs de développement durable dans toute la zone Asie-Pacifique, la France a appuyé la signature d'un mémorandum d'entente entre l'Agence française de développement et la CESAP en juillet 2025 à Séville. Ce nouveau cadre de travail entre ces deux institutions vise à renforcer la coopération dans des domaines stratégiques tels que la transition énergétique, le développement de l'énergie bas carbone, le financement du climat et du développement, les océans, la réduction des risques de catastrophes naturelles ou encore les coopérations triangulaires. Il vise également à renforcer les liens avec l'ASEAN par le biais d'initiatives conjointes, le dialogue de politique publique et le partage de connaissances ou encore le plaidoyer commun dans des forums régionaux et mondiaux. À ce stade, dans le sillage de cet engagement, plusieurs actions de coopération concrètes ont pu être menées ou sont en cours. Sur l'énergie, avec la participation et la contribution de l'Agence française de développement aux réunions préparatoires de la table ronde sur le financement de la transition énergétique au Vietnam en septembre dernier. Toujours sur l'énergie, la France finance l'établissement d'une école de régulation de l'ASEAN et du partenariat pour la transition énergétique au travers de l'action de l'Agence française de développement. Ces actions viennent s'ajouter aux actions déjà existantes, notamment en matière de régulation du commerce numérique ou sur la sécurité routière, un sujet sur lequel la France continue de se mobiliser. De façon générale, d'autres projets de coopération sont actuellement à l'étude avec la CESAP, notamment sur l'économie bleue, la pollution de l'air ou encore le financement du développement en intégrant à la fois la dimension climatique, économique et sociale. Ces priorités s'inscrivent plus généralement dans la stratégie globale de la France de promotion de la réforme du financement du développement visant à reconstruire un équilibre respectueux des intérêts et de la souveraineté de chaque pays afin qu'aucun ne doive choisir entre combattre la pauvreté et la préservation de la planète. C'est le cœur du pacte dit 4P, pacte de Paris pour les peuples et la planète, que la France porte depuis 2023 et qui recueille désormais le soutien de 73 États. Mesdames et messieurs, Monsieur le Président, face à la brutalisation du monde et à la remise en cause croissante de l'action des Nations Unies, la France souhaite marquer son attachement au multilatéralisme et à la coopération entre les nations pour trouver des solutions communes aux défis actuels et émergents. C'est la seule voie possible à même de nous permettre d'atteindre nos objectifs en matière de développement durable. Je souhaite que les échanges que nous aurons cette semaine contribuent à la réalisation de cet objectif commun et conduisent à la conclusion de partenariats fructueux pour l'avenir. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Mathilde Trouillet, pour votre déclaration de France. Following, I will call on Hong Kong, China, Mr. Parson Lam, Director of Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office. Please.
Your Excellency the Chairman, Executive Secretary, and distinguished delegates. Today, our world is standing at a crossroad, facing a confluence of economic, social, and environmental challenges. At such a critical moment, we are unfortunately seeing rising tendencies towards inward-looking fragmentation and confrontation in some parts of the world. Hong Kong China believes firmly that these are not the solutions to the challenges facing us. We believe that if we are to build a sustainable future for our next generation, the global community must respond in a strategic, in a targeted, and above all, in a collaborative manner. It is in this spirit that Hong Kong China remains steadfast in fostering a prosperous future for the Asia-Pacific region. It is also in this spirit that we remain committed to fostering global efforts to advance the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Now, please allow me to share some of our initiatives in three very important areas for sustainable development, namely the global trade, talent development, and climate innovation. First, on global trade, Hong Kong China remains firmly committed to free and open trade. We continue to strengthen our international economic and trade networks through free trade and investment agreements. At present, we are seeking the early accession to the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership and are also working with other collaboration agreements with other economies. In fact, as an international financial and business center, Hong Kong China maintains deep-rooted partnerships with the traditional markets, and at the same time, we are expanding our engagements with emerging markets, including the Belt and Road regions, the Global South, and the Middle East. At the same time, we continue to serve as a super connector, connecting the Chinese mainland and the rest of the world. In 2025, over 1,500 regional headquarters and more than 11,000 Chinese mainland and overseas companies have set their footprints in Hong Kong. These efforts are supported by our simple and low tax regime, our free flow of capital, free flow of information, goods, and talents. Hong Kong continues to be ranked as the world's freest economy and one of the easiest places to start and do businesses. Second, on talent development. We believe that talent is a key driver for economic development. Facing also an aging population, Hong Kong China has adopted multiple strategies to sustain our talent development. Apart from nurturing local talents through training and support programs, we are also actively attracting talents from outside Hong Kong, as at the end of March 2025, over 300,000 applications under various talent admission schemes have been approved and supported by our one-stop services to help talents integrate into the society of Hong Kong. Finally, on climate innovation, we believe that climate change required urgent and collective actions. Hong Kong China is committed to reducing carbon emission by 15% before 2035 and achieving carbon neutrality before 2050. And in this connection, we are promoting green technologies such as sustainable aviation fuel, hydrogen energy, and electric mobility. At the same time, we are also further strengthening our role as an international hub for green finance. Hong Kong's green and sustainable debt market has exceeded $76 billion, supporting projects and initiatives around the world aimed for carbon reduction. In conclusion, Hong Kong China will continue to champion openness, collaboration, and sustainable development. We stand ready to work hand in hand with all economies to address our shared challenges, to grasp the emerging opportunities, and most importantly, to deliver meaningful progress under the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parson Lam from Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office. I now call on IOM, Ms. Diane Epstein, Deputy Regional Director for Operations. Please.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, dear colleagues, it is an honor for the International Organization for Migration to address the 82nd session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. We welcome this session's focus on leaving no one behind, advancing a society for all ages in Asia and the Pacific, and its emphasis on demographic change, decent work, women's economic empowerment, healthy and active aging, and the future of care and social integration. Migration is central to this agenda. Across our region, some countries are aging rapidly, while others continue to have large youth populations. When governed well, safe, orderly, and regular migration can help address demographic and labor market challenges, support more inclusive growth, and strengthen resilient societies for all ages. No state can address these challenges alone. Solutions exist, but they require political trust, practical and effective regional cooperation. In this regard, ESCAP plays a vital role by bringing member states together to connect demographic, development, and mobility agendas, exchange evidence and policy solutions, and carry regional perspectives into global migration discussions. This session comes at a crucial moment. In less than a month, member states will meet in New York for the second International Migration Review Forum, the IMRF, the global platform to review progress on the Global Compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration, as well as to adopt a progress declaration which outlines what should be prioritized for the next 4 years of the GCM implementation, the Global Compact for Migration implementation. Officials from Asia and the Pacific should arrive at the IMRF with a clear and united message in line with what was agreed by member states and relevant stakeholders during the second regional review on the Global Compact for Migration. Essentially, they are regional priorities that will ensure that migration governance delivers practical, principled, and cooperative solutions. In summary, the priorities identified include 1, labor migration and migrant workers' rights, 2, rights-based migration governance, and 3, climate change and migration, underpinned by cross-cutting commitments to a whole-of-government and whole-of-society approaches, gender-responsive and evidence-based policymaking, and strengthened partnerships. IOM, therefore, calls on member states to use the IMRF forum to renew political trust in migration governance, support a balanced, respectful, and forward-looking negotiated progress declaration, and back this up with concrete implementation, strong partnerships, and inclusive reviews on progress. ESCAP's contribution to this effort is significant. Through regional dialogues and reviews, ESCAP has helped and helps ensure that experiences from Asia and Pacific inform global discussions and that regional perspectives help shape the next phase of GCM implementation. That bridging role is essential if commitments are to translate into results. The Asia-Pacific region has the experience and foundations to demonstrate that migration governance is not a peripheral issue, but a core part of building inclusive, resilient, and sustainable societies. IOM remains committed to working with member states, ESCAP, the United Nations system, and stakeholders across the region to advance humane, evidence-based, and development-focused migration governance. Let us use this session to send a clear signal ahead of the IMRF that regional cooperation matters, implementation matters, and the commitments identified by the Asia-Pacific member states and partners are best placed to address the migration realities confronting our region over the next 4 years and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Diane Epstein, Deputy Regional Director of IOM for Operations. I now call on International Federation of Red Cross, Mr. Alkam Rahimov, for your statement, please.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, appreciate the opportunity to address the Commission at its 82nd session and commends ESCAP for placing Leaving No One Behind and advancing society of all ages at the center of the regional dialogue. We also would like to congratulate Chair of the session, Republic of Azerbaijan, and the host country, Kingdom of Thailand. Asia and the Pacific is undergoing profound demographic transition while simultaneously facing accelerating climate risks and increasingly complex disasters. These converging factors are reshaping vulnerability and placing strain on older persons, persons with disabilities, women and girls, and communities living in fragile and climate-exposed settings. Building society of all ages appears therefore not only as demographic imperative, but also core resilience and risk reduction challenge. Across the region, the IFRC network of 38 member National Red Cross Red Crescent societies, through millions of community-based volunteers, support inclusive disaster risk reduction, community health, social protection, early warning systems, and anticipatory action. As auxiliaries to public authorities in humanitarian field, National Red Cross Red Crescent societies support governments before, during, and after crisis. Experience from communities consistently show that resilience is strongest when systems are people-centered, locally led, and inclusive. Disaster risk reduction does not count for age, disability, and gender dimension risk, reinforcing inequality. Early warning systems that are not accessible or linked to early action fail those most exposed. And social protection systems that do not adapt to aging societies leave millions at risk of being left behind. Against this backdrop, the IFRC highlights 3 priorities relevant to translating regional commitments into tangible results. First, disaster risk reduction and climate resilience must be inclusive and age-responsive. National and regional framework should integrate demographic changes, disability inclusion, and gender considerations, recognizing older persons and at-risk groups as active contributors for resilience, not only passive beneficiaries. Second, aging societies require stronger community-based health care and social protection systems. Investing in preventive healthcare services and shock-responsive social protection is essential to protect dignity, reduce disaster impacts, and support healthy and active aging. Third, early warning systems must lead to early action for everyone. Progress under initiatives such as early warning for all is critical. However, warnings must be accessible, trusted, and linked to anticipatory action, including prearranged financing, so that communities can act before hazard escalate into the crisis. In conclusion, leaving no one behind is a foundation of resilient, inclusive, and sustainable societies in Asia and the Pacific, and the IFRC stands ready to support ESCAP, member states, and partners by bringing evidence from communities, supporting implementation, and fostering cooperation across the region. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alkan Rahimov from International Federation of Red Cross. Following would be Mr. Indra Mani Pandey from the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good afternoon to you all. Namaskar. It's a great honor and privilege to address the 82nd session of ESCAP as Secretary General of BIMSTEC. I wish to thank Executive Secretary of ESCAP for her kind invitation. BIMSTEC shares the theme of this session, the goal of inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development. As pointed out by speakers before me, the world is facing profound challenges. It has been noted that global multilateral institutions have been facing grave weaknesses and limitations. With global multilateralism under stress, the salience of minilateralism and regionalism has naturally grown. Regional organizations like BIMSTEC are being seen as suitable platforms to forge cooperation among the countries located in a region or in a sub-region. A number of speakers have called for strengthening regional cooperation. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, 7 BIMSTEC member states located adjacent and close to Bay of Bengal face similar developmental and transnational security challenges, which they realize that they cannot deal with alone. Hence, they are keen to forge regional cooperation under BIMSTEC. Bay of Bengal is a geostrategically significant part of Asia and the Pacific. 7 BIMSTEC member states are home to 1.8 billion people. They had in 2024 combined GDP of over 5 trillion and combined external trade of almost 3 trillion. A significant part of global trade and energy flows through the waters of Bay of Bengal. Excellencies, BIMSTEC established in June 1997 by its 4 founding members, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, as a platform to facilitate cooperation amongst the countries of South Asia and Southeast Asia, has emerged as a vibrant regional organization with now 7 members, 5 from South Asia, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, and 2 from East Asia, Myanmar and Thailand. BIMSTEC is an intergovernmental regional organization with its permanent secretariat located in Dhaka. Since its inception almost 29 years ago, BIMSTEC has made significant progress. It has adopted its own charter and has institutionalized the requisite core and sectoral mechanisms. BIMSTEC has a comprehensive agenda comprising 18 sectors of cooperation, clubbed together in 7 groups with the designation of each member state as a lead member for one of the groups. The agenda of BIMSTEC is fully aligned with Sustainable Development Goals Agenda 2030. BIMSTEC has held numerous summits and ministerial and senior officials meetings, including sectoral, ministerial, and senior officials meetings. There are a number of joint working groups, expert groups, and their subgroups to facilitate cooperation. And our member states have agreed on action plans in each sector for regional cooperation which are being implemented. In order to institutionalize cooperation in various sectors, BIMSTEC has already established 2 centers of excellence, Center of Excellence for Weather and Climate and Center of Excellence for Energy. A BIMSTEC Cultural Industries Observatory has been set up in Paro, and BIMSTEC Technology Transfer Facility is being set up in Colombo. 8 more centers of excellence are being set up. BIMSTEC has already concluded 2 conventions and 3 more conventions are being negotiated. Last year, we signed here in Bangkok a BIMSTEC agreement on maritime transport cooperation, and a number of MOUs and a memorandum of association have also been signed. We have also been seeking international partnerships with non-BIMSTEC members as well as UN, international and regional organizations. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, BIMSTEC has been working together with ESCAP, including hosting sectoral specific side events. We are open to engage in partnerships with other regional organizations as well as UN and international organizations. I commend the ESCAP for its initiative to engage closely with regional organizations like BIMSTEC in areas which are our shared priorities. In this regard, I welcome the opportunity being provided to regional organizations to share their perspectives. I also commend ESCAP for its initiative to bring together various regional and sub-regional organizations in Asia and the Pacific in order to enable them to engage in exchange of views on their vision, agenda, and priorities, and to explore opportunities for cooperation among themselves. I would like to conclude by extending my gratitude to you all for your kind attention. Thank you again. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Indra Mani, Secretary General of the IMSTEC. I now call on Mr. Charles Ander de Luna from the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth International.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good day. I speak on behalf of the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. And since it is our first time taking the floor, allow me to congratulate the chair and the vice chairs on their election and to thank the government of Thailand for hosting us. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is difficult to speak about sustainability in long-term projections while there are children in West Asia, or whom you refer to as the Middle East, and all over the world whose immediate concern is whether they will survive the night, whether their homes will still be standing, and whether their families will still be there in the morning. And at the same time, across Asia and the Pacific, there are communities, especially young people, dealing with repeated floods, stronger storms, longer droughts, and extreme heat. And rising heat where recovery is never complete before the next disruption arrives, creating conditions where uncertainty becomes routine and stability becomes fragile for many young people. These realities are unfolding alongside rising costs of living, increasing debt burdens, shifting trade patterns, and growing economic uncertainty. And for young people, these pressures combine in ways that shape access to education, employment, mobility, and security, often narrowing choices at the same time that experiences continues to rise. The underlying drivers are well understood, as energy systems remain heavily dependent on fossil fuels and continue to influence economic priorities and political decisions across the region, including corporate capture, with effects that extend beyond emissions into patterns of instability, displacement, and insecurity that are already visible and are interacting with existing vulnerabilities in ways that intensify their impact. At the same time, trust in multilateral cooperation is under strain, and that has direct implications. For a region where shared challenges require coordination at a scale, and where the effectiveness of agreements depends on the consistent of implementation, sustained political commitment, and the ability to translate commitments into outcomes that people experience in their daily lives. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Asia-Pacific region has the capacity to respond with strong financial systems, expanding technological capability, and a large and dynamic population, including young people who are already contributing across communities, economies, and policy processes. A more coherent response requires aligning financial flows with long-term sustainability goals, including redirecting subsidies and public investment toward clean energy and resilience, expanding regional cooperation to support clean technology transfer and capacity building, strengthening systems that protect workers and communities during economic transitions, establishing accountability mechanisms, ensuring that recovery and development strategies reduce vulnerability rather than enforce it. It also requires expanding the role of young people in decision-making processes in ways that allow for meaningful contribution in policy design and implementation, reflecting the reality that these decisions will shape long-term conditions across the region. In July of last year, the International Court of Justice released an advisory opinion on the obligations of states in respect of climate change. The campaign for the resolution was led by young people in the Pacific and drastically scaled and supported by children and youth around the world, leading to the historic unanimous UN General Assembly resolution upon the leadership of Vanuatu, but the Pacific states and the core group of countries that requested the ICJ for an advisory opinion. The World Court, drawing from multiple legal sources and rejecting arguments based on the lex specialis principle, affirmed that all states have binding obligations to prevent significant environmental harm, cooperate internationally, and uphold fundamental rights. It also affirmed the right of future generations and that the human right to a clean, Clean, healthy, and sustainable environment is inherent in the enjoyment of other human rights. This shows the power and motivation of children and young people in driving progress and sustainable development. Now, Vanuatu, together with the core group of countries, along with the support of children and young people around the world, is championing a new UN General Assembly resolution to endorse the ICJ's landmark advisory opinion, turning legal clarity into political action. We urge all members, associate members, and observers of this commission to support and champion the resolution and ensure its timely adoption. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the direction of travel over the coming years will influence economic stability, social conditions, and environmental outcomes across Asia and the Pacific, and the choices made within this period will carry long-term implications that extend beyond immediate policy cycles. The tools, knowledge, and capacity to act are already present within the region, and the question that remains is how consistently and how quickly they are applied across different contexts and priorities, and whether our leaders have the political will to do so. We hope that you will consider these realities as highlighted by children and youth in your deliberations and decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Charles Zander de Luna from United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. I now call on Mr. Tatsushi Nishioka from Japan, please.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, and distinguished delegates, on behalf of the government of Japan, I have the honor to introduce the video recorded message by Her Excellency Ms. Kunimitsu Ayano, State Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan, on Agenda Item 2A, General Debate, Opportunities and Solutions for a Sustainable Future. Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson, Executive Secretary Dr. Alicia Bana, distinguished guests and participants, I am Kunimitsu Ayano, State Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan. This year's session focused on the timely themes, leaving no one behind, advancing a society for all ages in Asia and the Pacific. In the Asia-Pacific region, demographic structures are rapidly changing as population aging accelerates, while challenges in youth employment and social participation also persist. Building a society where people at every stage of life can realize their full potential and support one another is essential for sustainable development and robust economic growth. Japan's population has been aging quickly. Against this backdrop, we have worked to establish support systems for older persons while fostering inclusion in which people from youth to old age can contribute in meaningful ways. Japan has promoted an environment where all generations can remain active in line with their aspirations by expanding employment opportunities for older persons, advancing reskilling initiatives, and encouraging social participation through digital technologies. At the same time, we are working to extend healthy life expectancy and ensure the stability of social security systems. Digitalization and innovation are also key to overcoming intergenerational disparities and creating new opportunities for all. As one of the first countries to confront low fertility and population aging, Japan will share these initiatives and experiences to offer practical insights and work with countries across the Asia-Pacific to address common challenges. ESCAP has served as a central forum for knowledge sharing and capacity building among governments in the region. Japan has actively supported ESCAP's work. For example, together with the United Nations Statistical Institute for Asia and the Pacific, Japan has provided training to government officials from 200 countries and regions, helping to build expertise in statistics. Looking ahead, Japan will continue to support policy implementation in each country through ESCAP and strengthen evidence-based policy making grounded in statistics and data. As we approach 2030, time is short. Under the principle of leaving no one behind, we must further speed up action toward realizing a world in which everyone can prosper. Japan will remain closely engaged with ESCAP in pursuit of a society for all ages. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency Mr. Tatsushi Nishioka, and also thank you for the video statement from Ms. Kunimitsu, Ayano State Minister for Foreign Affairs. This brings us to the end of the proceedings for today. I will now call on the Secretariat to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and very good afternoon, distinguished delegates. May I inform you regarding the election of the Governing Council of the Asian and the Pacific Center for Transfer of Technology. As stipulated in the statute of the center, in addition to the host country India, the Commission will elect no less than 8 additional members for the Governing Council. Nomination have been received from the following delegations: Bangladesh, China, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Philippines, Republic of Korea, Russian Federation, and Thailand. Candidates were invited to issue statements indicating their aims, vision, and their commitments as members of the Governing Council should they be elected to the Council. The statements received have been circulated to all member states and are also available on the Commission website under the tab Election of the Governing Council. The election will take place tomorrow, 21st April morning from 11 hours to 13 hours in Conference Room 1. In accordance with the rules of procedure of the Commission, election will be conducted by secret ballot. In accordance with paragraph 6 of the Commission terms of reference, associate members are not entitled to vote. However, paragraph 7 stipulates that associate members are eligible to be appointed as members of any committee or subsidiary body and shall be eligible to vote and hold office in such body. Ballot papers will be provided in the election room. All members in attendance are kindly requested to cast their vote, and a reminder to all nominees to remember to vote for yourself. Thank you. I have another important announcement to make. This is where we all come together. This is the reception that I'm pleased to remind you that Executive Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan, and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kingdom of Thailand are co-hosting a reception for all participants today at 17:30 hours in the Conference Room 1 on this level 2. Just again to engage with all of you, the ministry also has put together a photo booth outside the CR1. You are very much encouraged to come there and take photographs and to show the togetherness that you have shown since the morning. And that's the way we're encouraging all of you to be there and be part of that celebration. And also there's going to be a Thai textile exhibition, which is also happening. Also we're requesting you and encouraging you to be there and to be part of it and to understand and see the valuable cultural side of Thailand, our host. So with that, Excellency, again, thank you. All of you are welcome to join for the reception at 17:30 hours. With that, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretary of the Commission. On this note, I adjourn this meeting. We shall reconvene promptly at 9 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, 21st April. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Excellency.